Okay, picture this. Someone talks to you in English, and your brain just locks up. You're thinking, wait, how do I say that again? And before you know it, you're translating every single word in your head.
Yeah, it's like, I know what I want to say, but not in English. It's all there in your native language, but trying to turn that into English? Total brain traffic jam.
And it's so frustrating, right? You've studied English for years, you know the grammar, you've got the words, but when it's time to actually speak, nothing flows.
We've both been there. The truth is, the way we've been taught to learn English, it kind of sets us up to always translate first, and that slows everything down.
So today, we're going to flip that. You're listening to Daily English Loop. I'm Emma.
And I'm Jack, and we're diving into something super important today: how to stop translating in your head and start thinking in English for real. We'll tell you why your brain keeps switching back to your native language, how that's blocking your fluency, and what to do instead, step by step. So, if you're tired of feeling stuck every time you speak,
This episode is your roadmap out. We're going to break down how to shift from translating to thinking directly in English. Let's get into it.
so let's start with the big question: why do we even translate in our heads in the first place?
Honestly, because it's what we were trained to do. Think about it. Most of us learned English the same way we learned history or math. We had textbooks, we memorized word lists, we studied grammar rules, all in our native language.
Right. It was never about using the language, it was about passing tests. We weren't learning English as a skill. We were learning about English as if it were some theory.
Exactly. So when it's time to speak, our brains go, okay, I want to say this sentence. Let me build it one word at a time. And oh, wait, is that past tense or present perfect? And by the time you figure it out, the moment's already gone.
And it's not your fault. Your brain's just following a routine it learned. First think in your language, then try to translate, then double check the grammar, and then try to speak. No wonder it's exhausting.
Totally. You're not having a conversation. You're solving a puzzle in real time. No wonder it feels slow, clunky, and sometimes even scary.
And here's the thing: the more you rely on translating, the more your brain stays in translation mode. It never gets the chance to develop that direct English wiring.
It's like trying to drive a car while reading the manual at the same time. You might move a little, but you'll never feel in control.
And the longer you keep doing it, the harder it gets to break the habit. That's why so many learners say, I understand English, but I can't speak it, because they're stuck in that translation loop.
But the good news is, it's a habit, not a permanent problem. You trained your brain to translate, and now you can retrain it to think in English.
And that's exactly what we're going to show you today.
Stick with us. We're about to break it down and help you build that English first mindset. Okay, so now we know why we translate in our heads. But let's talk about the real cost of doing it.
Yeah, because translating doesn't just make you slower, it makes you less confident, less fluent, and honestly more anxious.
Let's break it down. When you translate, your brain is juggling three things at once. 1, your native language. 2, English. And 3, the rules for going from one to the other. That's a lot of cognitive load. Like, it burns out your mental energy fast.
Exactly. It's like trying to run with a backpack full of bricks. You're moving, sure, but not freely, not naturally. So you hesitate, you pause, you second guess everything.
And in real conversations, that hesitation feels huge. Even a 1-second delay can make you feel like you're bad at English. But it's not your ability, it's the process you're stuck in.
Right. You're not bad at English. You're just stuck in translation mode. And when you're stuck there, you're not truly communicating, you're performing.
Performing, that's the word. Because now you're not focused on the person in front of you. You're focused on getting the sentence right. It becomes about accuracy, not connection.
And here's the irony: the more you try to sound correct, the less natural you sound. Your sentences get stiff. Your tone sounds robotic. And suddenly, even native speakers struggle to follow you. Not because your English is wrong, but because it's overprocessed.
That hits, because we've all heard someone speak perfect grammar, but it just didn't flow. And that's what translation does. It kills flow.
So yeah, translating slows you down on every level: processing time, speaking speed, confidence, and connection with people.
And that's why the goal isn't to speak perfectly, it's to speak naturally. And to do that, we've got to get rid of translation and build fluency from the inside out.
Which brings us to the next part: how to actually do that. Let's talk about thinking in chunks.
All right, so translating slows you down, drains your confidence, and honestly, it's exhausting. But here's the good news: there is a better way.
Yep, and that better way is called thinking in chunks. It's simple, powerful, and totally changes the way you process English.
So, what do we mean by chunks? Chunks are short phrases or word groups that native speakers use all the time, like, "How's it going? I'm good, thanks." Or, "Let me check."
Right. They're not grammar exercises. They're ready-to-use pieces of language that your brain can grab and say instantly, no translating, no building from scratch.
Think of it like this: when you speak your native language, you're not inventing every sentence word by word. You're just pulling from phrases you already know. Same idea here.
And the cool part is, when you think in chunks, you skip translation completely. You don't go, okay, first I need the word for, I then want them to go, and what was store again? You just feel the phrase, I want to go to the store. No, assembly required.
Exactly. You're not building a sentence like it's IKEA furniture. You're grabbing the whole phrase fully formed and using it in real time.
And don't worry, you don't need to memorize 1,000 chunks overnight. Start with the high-frequency ones. Things you say every day.
Like, "Can I get a, I'm not sure. That sounds good. No worries. I'll take care of it." These are gold because they show up in so many situations.
Also, chunks carry tone and emotion. If you say, I do not agree with that, it sounds formal or stiff. But yeah, I'm not really feeling that. Same idea, way more natural.
So if fluency is the goal, then chunks are your best shortcut. They help you stop overthinking, sound more authentic, and actually enjoy conversations.
And the best part? The more you use chunks, the more your brain starts thinking in English, not translating into it.
So the shift is this: stop thinking word by word. Start thinking phrase by phrase. That's the mindset of a real speaker.
Up next, we'll show you how to train your brain to actually do this, so thinking in English becomes your default setting. So now you might be thinking, okay, I get the idea of chunks, but how do I actually train my brain to think in English? Like, what does that look like day to day?
Great question. Because this is where we stop just talking about theory and start building real habits. Here's the truth: you can absolutely train your brain to think in English. But just like going to the gym, it takes consistent reps.
Yep, fluency is a muscle. And just like any muscle, you've got to use it in real-life situations to make it stronger.
So let's give you 5 daily habits you can use to start thinking in English, even when you're not in a classroom or talking to anyone. And don't worry, these aren't complicated methods. You don't need a fancy app or a language partner to get started. These are things you can do right now, wherever you are.
Exactly. It all starts with tiny shifts in how you use your attention. You're already thinking all day. We're just going to help you switch the language of those thoughts to English.
All right, first up, the simplest and quickest one to try. Name what you see.
This one's simple and super effective. Just name objects around you in English as you move through your day. You're brushing your teeth? Think toothbrush. Walking down the street? Tree. Road. Traffic light.
It's a small shift, but it starts rewiring your brain to connect English to the world, not your native language. You're not translating. You're labeling directly in English.
Once you get used to naming things around you, you'll notice it gets easier and even kind of fun. But let's take it one step further.
Yeah, instead of just pointing out objects, what if you started describing what you're doing? That's where the real magic happens, because now you're not just labeling your world, you're living in English.
So here's your next habit. Narrate your day.
This one's fun. Talk to yourself in English, in your head, or out loud if you're alone. Like, I'm making coffee. I need to check my email. Oh no, I forgot my keys.
It might feel weird at first, but it's powerful. You're training your brain to form thoughts in English, not wait until study time.
So now you're naming things and you're narrating your actions. That's awesome. But let's make it more interactive, even if you're just talking to yourself.
Exactly. Conversations don't have to involve other people at first. You can actually train your fluency by talking to,
Seriously, your brain doesn't care who you're talking to. It just wants repetition. So let's move on to the next habit that builds real conversational thinking. Ask and answer simple questions.
throughout your day, ask yourself small questions and answer in English. What time is it? It's almost noon. What am I doing next? I'm going to lunch.
You're creating mini conversations with yourself, and that builds mental fluency faster than you'd think.
So, by now, you've got a great little routine going. You're naming things, describing your actions, even having mini Q&As with yourself. But what about sound? What about rhythm?
Exactly. Fluency isn't just about the words, it's about how they flow. That's where this next technique comes in. And honestly, it's one of the most powerful tools out there.
If you've never tried it before, it might feel a little weird at first, but trust us, it works like magic. Now let's shift gears to something powerful you can hear and copy. Let's talk about shadowing shadow native speakers.
This one's a game changer. Shadowing means you repeat what a native speaker is saying at the same time, like you're their echo. Pick a short clip, a podcast, a YouTube video, a TV show, and mimic their rhythm, intonation, and flow.
It trains your mouth, your ears, and your brain together. You're not just learning vocabulary, you're learning how the language moves.
So when you shadow native speakers, you're not just copying words, you're absorbing intonation, emotion, and flow. So that's for your mouth and ears. Now, let's talk about how to train your brain to connect words more intuitively.
Because even with all these great habits, there's one hidden trap that can still sneak in: translation. Yep, that old habit of mentally going, word in my language English version.
But what if, instead of translating, you could just feel the meaning directly in English? That's what this last tip is all about. It's subtle, but seriously powerful.
Let's talk about something called mental tagging, not translating. This is all about connecting new words directly to meaning, not to your first language. So instead of seeing the word apple and thinking of the word from your native language, just picture the fruit. Feel it. Taste it. You know what it is.
Your brain remembers images and experiences way better than translations. The goal is simple. When you hear apple, your brain should go straight to the fruit, not take a detour through another language.
So, to sum it up, thinking in English isn't magic. It's muscle memory. You train it by using it every day in small but powerful ways.
And the best part? You don't need a teacher. You don't need a textbook. You just need a few minutes, an open mind, and the willingness to sound a little silly sometimes.
Because every time you think in English, you're one step closer to speaking it fluently, without hesitation, without fear, and definitely without translation.
Coming up next, we'll give you one final challenge to try today that'll kickstart everything we've talked about so far. You ready?
Let's do it.
All right, you've got the tools. You've got the mindset. Now, let's put it all into motion.
Because here's the truth. You don't need more time or more grammar books or another app. You just need to start using the English you already know.
So, you might be wondering, what exactly is this challenge? What do I do?
Great question. It's simple, low pressure, and something you can try right now. No teacher, no app, no stress.
We call it the 1 hour English mode. Here's how it works.
For the next 1 hour, try to think entirely in English. Not perfectly, not all at once. Just do your best to stay in English mode.
You don't need to talk out loud unless you want to. You can do this quietly in your head as you go about your day, making coffee, walking to class, riding the train.
Use the techniques we talked about. Name what you see. Narrate what you're doing. Ask and answer simple questions. Recall a chunk and try saying it out loud. Mentally tag words with images, not translations.
If your brain starts to slip back to your native language, that's okay. Just notice it and gently shift back. No pressure, no judgment, just practice.
So, why does this even matter? Why 1 hour?
Because this is how fluency starts. It doesn't begin with speaking to a stranger. It begins in your head with how you think.
And here's something important. Your English doesn't have to be perfect to be real. You don't need fancy vocabulary or perfect grammar to start thinking in English. You just need to begin right where you are with what you've got.
You're building mental momentum. And every time you stay in English, even for 10 seconds longer, you're rewiring your brain.
So don't wait until you feel ready. You're already ready. This 1 hour is your warm-up. And from there, you build.
Okay, so what should you expect? Let's be real. It might feel a little awkward at first.
You might stumble or get stuck. That's normal. The key is don't stop.
Because every time you push through the hesitation, even just a little, you're moving closer to the kind of fluency that doesn't rely on translation.
And once you realize that you can think in English, even just for an hour, you start to believe in your voice. And that changes everything.
So, your challenge is simple: 1 hour. One focus. One language. English.
Try it. And if it feels messy or weird or hard, good. That means it's working.
Because fluency doesn't come from knowing more. It comes from using what you already know.
And you've already got more than enough to start.
Remember how we started this episode? That moment when someone speaks English and your brain just locks up?
When you start translating every word when the sentence is right there, but only in your native language.
We've all been there. But here's the shift. You don't have to stay there. You're not stuck.
Because now you've got tools. You've got habits. And more importantly, you've got proof that you can start thinking in English for real.
Fluency isn't about perfection. It's about connection. And that connection starts inside your own mind, one phrase, one thought, 1 hour at a time.
So don't wait until it feels perfect. Start now, even if it's messy, even if it's slow, because the only way out of translation is through practice.
If this episode helped you feel just a little more confident or a little less alone, share it with someone who's still stuck in the translate then speak trap.
And let us know, what was the first thought you had in English today? Drop us a message, leave a comment, tag us. We read every single one.
This is Daily English Loop, where English becomes a habit, not a hurdle. Thanks for joining us.
And hey, if you're still listening, guess what? You just spent 15 minutes thinking in English. You're already doing it.
See you next time.
See you next time.